They're hiding in plain sight.
Basically, it is groups of 50 to 60 guys that operate.
Powerful international cartels making millions in profit from smuggling cigarettes.
Most of the illicit cigarettes that we get are originally from Zimbabwe.
Illegal cigarettes or illicit cigarettes impacts not only the industry but also government and therefore also the economy as a whole.
Porous borders between Zimbabwe and South Africa allowing illicit trade to flourish.
They get it from Zimbabwe, yeah, and these types of cigarettes, they are not even allowed in Zimbabwe.
A syndicate so vast it allegedly reaches even to the very corridors of power.
You can meet them in the middle of the bush, groups of 50, 60 guys. And they are carrying cigarettes, so they have got their paths that they walk on.
While costing economies millions in lost revenue. ANN7 reporters embark on a risky journey to the underbelly of the beast. Secret cameras unmasking a nest of ruthless smugglers and handlers. Operating in a small village along the South Africa-Zimbabwe border in Limpopo. The peaceful appearance belying its true nature. A staging point for the massive illicit trade in contraband.
How does this thing work?
Okay.
How does it work basically? From the start, where do they get the cigarettes, and then how do they cross the border with them, and what kind of protection do they have?
Okay. Okay. Because what I know is they get it from Zimbabwe. Yeah, and these types of cigarettes, they are not even allowed in Zimbabwe. Even in the retail shops, they are not even allowed. But what they do, since they are working with these big boys in the government, they give them farms, and they are the ones also who are buying this tobacco. So there are big companies there in Zim, those who are processing the tobacco, and the owners of those companies, again, they are also those big boys from the ruling party in Zimbabwe. So what they're doing is like they are taking, in fact, I don't know, maybe they are just taking the advantage of the situation, since there is no law, like, in Zimbabwe things are not in order. So they are doing that way, whereby because there is this one which is called RG, Remington Gold. It's one of their best-selling cigarettes. What they do is they have got guys that they give money, they supply them with cigarettes, and these guys, they don't pay sometimes up front. They just, for example, they can give them even 500 boxes. Whereas each box carries about 50 boxes, so they can give them just to supply in South Africa. Because what they do, they have guys inside close to the river waiting for the cigarettes, and those guys, it's a syndicate, it's a team. They'll make sure that the cigarettes, they cross to South Africa. As soon as they cross those cigarettes, they are also the other guys SSI'd. Then they will be ready to take them to the transporters. Then they will take it to Joburg. And I heard also that they are taking it as far as they even cross the oceans. Because I heard that they are supplying these other guys who are into medicine businesses. They are using it for making the antibiotics, something like that. Yeah.
And in terms of the syndicate, how does it look? Who's in the different positions
Okay.
and responsibilities that people have? What does that look like? Like you have the people who carry, are the people who look out for police at the border, are the people who like communication? How? Yeah.
Okay. They work with the soldiers is inside. They work with the police is inside, and also they work with soldiers South Africa. They work with police South Africa side, and along the way they also work with police. So it's very difficult even to try to get rid of them, because even if there is an operation, but still those guys, they will have enough information if whether there is an operation or there is no any operation. So it's very difficult because they are working with those guys who are doing the roadblocks and everything. So people, just because of money, so they are always successful.
So from the top, there's the boss, and then who comes underneath them?
Okay. In fact, what they do, the big bosses, they are big bosses in Harare. They are okay. In fact, they are licensed to have guns, and then in Zimbabwe they are a bit safe. No one is fighting them. But now coming to South Africa side, there are also some bosses that they send to be in charge of all these other guys who carry cigarettes. Those are the guys who are moving with guns. Yeah, and it's also they even kill them one another. You understand, fighting for the cigarette. So they are always protected. To be honest with you, and there are those ones who they call surveyors, the ones that the ones that will be monitoring the cigarettes and monitoring those guys who will be carrying the cigarettes. They are always having guns, so they are always armed. So they are a bit dangerous. Yeah, they are a bit dangerous, those guys, because they will fight by all means to make sure that the cigarette is gone. Unless if there is a lot of soldiers with a lot of AKs, maybe that's when they can run away, if I would say.
In terms of where the cigarettes go in Joburg, what do you know of that?
Okay. In Joburg, yeah, there are some Nigerians who are buying it, they are into it. There are some white people who are into it, and black guys who are into it, and they just do buy and sell. Yeah. Some of them, they don't have business with it. They just buy and sell just to make the profit, because they know where to supply, because they are connected to the big bosses, the ones that process it and try to remanufacture it and put another label and toast it, you know. And those ones who are as far as like India, they are connected to those guys.
And why do you think it's making so much money for the bosses?
Okay, it's okay. It's just a matter of like it's cheap in Zim. Yeah, it's cheap in Zim, because since Zimbabwe they are producing the best quality of Virginia tobacco, and it's cheap, so they can make money out of it.
How does this thing work?
Okay.
How does it work basically? From the start, where do they get the cigarettes, and then how do they cross the border with them, and what kind of protection do they have?
Okay. Okay. Because what I know is they get it from Zimbabwe. Yeah, and these types of cigarettes, they are not even allowed in Zimbabwe. Even in the retail shops, they are not even allowed. But what they do, since they are working with these big boys in the government, they give them farms, and they are the ones also who are buying this tobacco. So there are big companies there in Zim, those who are processing the tobacco, And the owners of those companies, again, they are also those big boys from the ruling party in Zimbabwe. So what they're doing is like they are taking, in fact, I don't know, maybe they are just taking the advantage of the situation since there is no law, like, in Zimbabwe things are not in order. So they are doing it that way, whereby they, because there is this one which is called RG, Remington Gold. It's one of their best-selling cigarettes. What they do is they have got guys that they give money, they supply them with cigarettes, and these guys they don't pay sometimes up front. They just, for example, they can give them even 500 boxes, whereas each box carries about 50 boxes. So they can give them just to supply in South Africa. Because what they do, they have guys inside close to the river waiting for the cigarettes, and those guys, it's a syndicate, it's a team. They'll make sure that the cigarettes, they cross to South Africa. As soon as they cross those cigarettes, they are also the other guys SSI. Then they will be ready to take them to the transporters. Then they will take it to Joburg. And I heard also that they are taking it as far as they even cross the oceans, because I heard that they are supplying these other guys who are into medicine businesses. They are using it for making the antibiotics, something like that. Yeah.
And in terms of the syndicate, how does it look? Who's in the different positions and responsibilities that people have? What does that look like? Like, you have the people who carry, are the people who look out for police at the border, are the people who like communication? How? Yeah.
Okay. They work with the soldiers inside. They work with the police inside, and also they work with soldiers South Africa. They work with police South Africa side, and along the way they also work with police. So it's very difficult even to try to get rid of them, because even if there is an operation, but still those guys, they will have enough information if whether there is an operation or there is no any operation. So it's very difficult, because they are working with those guys who are doing the roadblocks and everything. So just because of money, so they are always successful.
So from the top, there's the boss, and then who comes underneath them?
Okay. In fact, what they do, the big bosses, they are big bosses in Harare. They are okay. In fact, they are licensed to have guns, and then in Zimbabwe they are a bit safe. No one is fighting them. But now coming to South Africa side, there are also some bosses that they send to be in charge of all these other guys who carry cigarettes. Those are the guys who are moving with guns. Yeah, and it's also they even kill them one another. You understand, fighting for the cigarette. So they are always protected. To be honest with you. And there are those ones who they call surveyors, the ones that the ones that will be monitoring the cigarettes and monitoring those guys who will be carrying the cigarettes. They are always having guns, so they are always armed. So they are a bit dangerous. Yeah, they are a bit dangerous, those guys, because they will fight by all means to make sure that the cigarette is gone. Unless if there is a lot of soldiers with a lot of AKs, maybe that's when they can run away, if I would say.
In terms of where the cigarettes go in Joburg, what do you know of that?
Okay. In Joburg, yeah, there are some Nigerians who are buying it, they are into it. There are some white people who are into it, and black guys who are into it, and they just do buy and sell. Yeah. Some of them, they don't have business with it. They just buy and sell just to make the profit, because they know where to supply, because they are connected to the big bosses, the ones that process it and try to remanufacture it and put another label and toast it, and those ones who are as far as like India. They are connected to those guys.
And why do you think it's making so much money for the bosses?
Okay, it's okay. It's just a matter of like it's cheap in Zim. Yeah, it's cheap in Zim because since Zimbabwe they are producing the best quality of Virginia tobacco and it's cheap, so they can make money out of it.
How safe are these cigarettes? Would you smoke one of these cigarettes?
Yeah, I did try those days when I used to smoke, but they are not healthy. Yeah, that's why they're not allowed in Zim because they are not toasted. They are not healthy at all. They are too toxic.
And like one person who carries, how much money would they be making in a week?
Okay, they pay them per box. They pay them 150 rands per each box. If you manage to carry 10 boxes per day, it's your money in the pocket.
Is it enough money for that type of, for the risk and for the long walk and for the heaviness of the box and for the amount that the bosses make?
Just because there is no choice. Things are very difficult in Zim. So that's why they are here in numbers doing that, because there's no jobs in Zim. So they are just trying to make ends meet.
Do you know any of these guys and how their families, or are they family men, or are they just criminals?
Okay. These guys are family men. These guys, they've got a decent life where they come from. Yeah, they've got, especially those who are in charge. They are not the same with those ones who carry by foot. Yeah, those are the decent people. Some of them, they have got business in Zimbabwe. And their businesses, they are not doing well because of the harsh economic situation in Zimbabwe. So they are taking advantage of the cigarettes to keep the borough in their business.
When the river is full, when
Yeah.
the Limpopo River.
Oh, yeah, no, there are a lot of boats. Boats, yeah, there are some boats. They buy boats there. There are boats. They don't care about the water, even if it's rainy season or whatever. But it's a bit difficult when when the Limpopo is full. But they can cross. They are used to it. They don't stop.
They use boats.
Yeah, they use boats. Yeah, there are some boats there.
And I know some of them get arrested along the way.
Yeah.
Do you think that discourages the bosses?
Yeah.
How much of an impact does that make?
No, they'll make sure that if someone get arrested, they will follow the person, they'll pay, so that the person will come out just to try to keep the information. They're always like that. Yeah, some of them, they are unlucky sometimes. They can go to court and the stuff, yeah. Whenever they meet those ones who are not interested in corruption, yeah, it's like that. Sometimes they arrest them. But mostly, they are always winning because they pay.
Do you think this will ever end?
As far as I can see, this will never end. Because as long as they are still producing tobacco in Zimbabwe, it will never end. I'm very sure it will never end. Because the problem is like soldiers, police, South Africa, they need money. Soldiers, police, Zimbabwe, they need money. That side in Zimbabwe West, they are the ones who are even growing it. So I don't see as if they will manage to get rid of these guys. Maybe they can try just to limit, yeah.
The handler says dealing in the golden leaf is making them and the buyers wealthy, leaving little incentive for anyone to find an alternative occupation.
The whole thing is about shop. The whole thing is about shop. Like last year, I was working with another woman. Now it's in UK.
Oh.
Yeah. They was giving me 500 bucks, 600 bucks. That box. If you value that box, it's a million, more than million something rand.
Sure.
It's me, I was processing.
For
Yeah, from that side of tradition.
But did she start at million? Because we can't.
No, don't even bother yourself to want to millionaire once.
Yeah.
No, that business is growing.
Or
While the military can present an obstacle to the trade routes of these smugglers, it seems that the hands of security forces are tied by official policy.
You know, it's like here in the bush, no soldier they authorize to shoot. No authorization.
okay.
They must arrest that person
Only.
only. If they see us, they must shoot in the air. Shoot people. If they shoot someone, it's going to be a problem for that one.
That's good.
So, for that
At
one.
least.
So, if it's my intelligence or my tactic, I must beat them.
The smuggling, an ever-present reality and potential danger to nearby farmers.
It is groups of 50 to 60 guys that operate with one leader per group. And they move freely across the river. The military does try and take some action, but sometimes I think it's a bit out of their control. And it's frequent. You meet them in the middle of the day going through the farm. I don't think it's my plan to stop them or to try and disturb them because they can be dangerous. Some of them I do believe are armed.
While farmers in the area present a bold face, they nevertheless feel the pressure. Faced with the prospect of constant illegal activity in their surroundings, they choose the easier way out. The mantra of live and let live.
Initially, there was some problems. There were some issues of theft. So I managed to get hold of the guys in conjunction with the Zimbabwean military and meet them in the river. And we discussed these issues, and I basically said to them, look, I've got nothing to do with your operations, so please try not to interfere with my operations. And for the last 4 to 5 years, we haven't had any instances. You might have some issues of domestic abuse and stuff like that. But otherwise, theft is zero. Safety-wise, it's probably one of the safest places to live.
Not that the locals did not go to the authorities at all, but their efforts did not bear much fruit.
I've shown the military this as well, and the military do know these places. They've done a lot of surveillance work here, and sometimes the military are successful in catching these guys.
Meanwhile, a routine conversation between a smuggler and his dealer reveals the extent of the rot at border posts.
Okay, saka mazotakura fodya.
Handazvitakura izvi zvindava kucheckpoint paya ndakasvika izvezvi manje.
Watakura mangani mabhoxi nasi?
7.
Watakura 7 box bhetaka wabhadhara mari nasi? Wachamarika nasi? 150 per box.
Avachiti vanondipa 2.5 ndikati no haidhisoka 3.5.
But masoja apuwa mari zvavo?
Ivo ndakaitsvigisa paya avachiti mari vanogona kubvisa yangu nemachinda mamwe iye yemachinda vayava kukuidzisa.
But polisi yanga ichifara yapuwa mari? Polisi vaita mari kanasi?
Polisi yaita mari mudara.
Ndozvazvinoita.
Yakasvika paya kusiri nini ndofana vaya vapinda.
Vaita road block nasi?
Jakioneka zvefoja ndikati no handisi zvefoja chetechi.
They make money. Police and soldiers, they are lucky today because it's Friday.
The booming illicit cigarette trade coming as no surprise to the South African Revenue Service. According to experts, nearly 55% of South Africa's illegal cigarettes originate from Zimbabwe. About 30% are manufactured locally. The balance comes from the Middle East. SARS says it is aware of the different methods smugglers use to smuggle goods through the border.
Most of the illicit cigarettes that we get are originally from Zimbabwe. And we have one port that borders us with Zimbabwe, that's the Beitbridge border. But they don't come through Beitbridge, all of them. So because of different land border posts, some of the cigarettes will come through other ports. What we've picked up is that most of them will go to Limpopo, they'll go to Gauteng, and they'll go to the Western Cape.
While standing by the integrity of its officers, SARS admits that there are cracks within the system that allow the illicit trade to flourish unabated.
We have very committed customs officers on the ground who are dedicated because they know what it's worth. They know the impact of this in the country. They know the damage it will do beyond the issue of the health. The fact that it's going to cost us as a government a lot of money because then we lose. But they also know that as customs officers, they need to lead by example. And they know it's for them, there's benefits because as SARS we give them incentive for this kind of bust. Yes, here and there we have elements that we always deal with who fall into the temptation. But we know we've got more dedicated customs officers than the ones that are taking the other route.
The police service too, aware of the temptation that corruption poses, saying they take a hard line against any members found to be involved.
Rotten apples must be removed. We cannot deny the fact that we've got some of the people who are practicing that, but we are saying, come forth. And that is why in most cases, we do arrest our own. Then after arresting, we come open to say, we have arrested so and so for this corruption and so forth, and they end up going to jail. And we end up even dismissing. That is why we are saying, we don't expect a member of the police service in good standing, a member who's here as a calling to come and serve the community and come and start to say bribe.
Parliament's police portfolio panel emphasising on the concerted efforts in rooting out corruption.
Well, it's quite important that the South African Police Service officials must act above, in accordance with the law at all times. During this year and even last year, the DPCI Hawks arrested members of SAPS who was complicit with regard to these matters, and we believe that's the right approach. You must cut out the bad apples immediately.
But experts underscoring how the lure of bribes can prove to be too strong for officials.
When it comes to a lot of smuggling scenarios, you either very out in the open, very overt about it, or very covert. The fact that this kind of smuggling is happening and that it's happening so much means that they must be very overt about it, which once again speaks about corruption. We obviously, your guys uncovered that. Yes, there will be corruption. There's money to be made. As soon as there's money to be made, there will be corruption. And everybody wants their piece of the pie at the end of the day.
Even as experts are sounding the alarm on government inaction, sophisticated smuggling syndicates becoming increasingly difficult to track down.
The statehood, as it were, has become weaker. What does this mean? Borders have become easily accessible, and so you'll find movement of some of these illicit goods moving from one point to the other freely.
With the advent of technology in South Africa, in the old days we could, there was a case where they could actually track somebody's put a tap on their cell phone or something like that. Now we have things like WhatsApp and Telegram, etc., where there's encrypted conversations. So there's no way that they can actually get in there. So with technology increasing, it's a lot easier for criminals to actually communicate with each other, less easy for police to catch them. Also, once again, we have to look at, realistically speaking, our borders are porous. You can literally get anything through South Africa's borders.
So what is the impact of these black market operations on people's health and the economy? Or is it a soft crime, as some call it, and the syndicates should be left to carry on business as usual? No, says the Tobacco Institute of South Africa, saying the financial impact alone is staggering.
Illicit cigarettes impacts not only the industry but also government and therefore also the economy as a whole. Since 2010, our government has lost more than 26 billion rand due to illicit cigarettes. In 2015, 24% of the market was illegal. That's more than 700,000 illegal packs of cigarettes every day in our country that smoked, and the loss to government last year was more than 4 billion rand. So it affects the legal industry, it affects government, and therefore it impacts on the economy as a whole.
Economists warning that the situation could spiral out of control, suggesting that the problem was far bigger than just the porous borders.
Our society as well, they are having a huge acceptance to illegal elements. Having them cheaper, I don't think it was supposed to be a good way as well to be attracted to that, but they were supposed to be reporting such activities to legal authorities.
Experts also saying that imposing taxes has not had the desired effect of curbing tobacco use.
High taxes on tobaccos has shown globally that it doesn't decrease the consumption of tobacco globally. That is a global aspect.
But the problem goes far beyond just economic. The repercussions evident on South Africa's health and also crime rate as cheap cigarettes continue to flood the market.
Firstly, it undermines government revenue. It's an important source of revenue for government, more than 26 billion rand lost since 2010. It also undermines the health agenda because our government wants people to use less of tobacco products, and most of the illegal cigarettes are on the market for cheap. So it actually stimulates consumption and therefore undermines the health agenda. Furthermore, it supports organized crime because this is not only about the people selling illegal cigarettes, but consumers should recognize that they actually support big, large, well-organized criminal syndicates when they buy illegal cigarettes.
With all the dangers the illegal trade poses, what then can be done to curb it? Some stakeholders believe regulation is key, while others propose a whole raft of solutions, including awareness campaigns and greater investment in training of security forces.
We need the legal industry to be protected. We need the playing field to be level so that the legal industry can invest in this country, and our economy and our country needs investment, and the tobacco sector plays a big role in the development of our country. And that's why we will work and will keep working with government in partnership to eradicate completely and get rid of illegal cigarettes. And those who deal in illegal cigarettes and who manufacture that and who smuggle it should end up where they should be, and that is behind bars.
Some experts also proposing greater cooperation between government and the tobacco industry to curb the menace. Better control will not only reduce smuggling, but also net in greater tax revenues for the exchequer. Authorities call on communities to report corruption and help stem the illicit tide.
Communities must become involved in street committees. They must become involved in their community police forums, community safety forums at the municipal level, so that they can contribute and deal with this as a community.
Now, with the inner workings of a multi-million rand syndicate exposed, a nexus of greed between authorities and smugglers uncovered, the question is, will government finally act and put an end to the illegal trade, or will it sweep it under the rug, hoping it will all quietly disappear?